Hello, I'm John Crowe, and with me on the line are my partners Charlie Hunts and Preet Kaur. We all know why we're here. Right now, investigators are coming through acres of strewn wreckage in Ethiopia. Airlines are explaining to their shareholders uh, why they need to absorb hundreds of millions of dollars in losses due to grounded fleets, and the public is demanding satisfying, transparent answers about why the Ethiopian mishap occurred. And in Boeing, your best and brightest minds are taking steps to ensure that future tragedies like this are avoided. There's a risk factor here that we want to make sure doesn't get overlooked among all these spinning plates that we have following any mishap. The mishap is Boeing culture. I think it's a mishap waiting to occur. And when I say mishap, I don't mean anything as dramatic or headline grabbing as a airline crash, but the consequences of poor culture can be just as damaging to Boeing as anything as a crash, because it could damage public trust, key talent might be lost, and employees feel disempowered. Recent events have shown that there are well-known and as of yet undiscovered faults in Boeing's culture. The good news is that these faults can be addressed. We need to apply the same rigor and expertise that Boeing engineers are famous for and apply it to your company's root problems. So what do I mean by root problems? I'll take you back to when I was a flight school aviator with the US Navy, and we studied the Pan Am KLM collision extensively. It remains the deadliest collision in aviation history, where 583 passengers and crew were killed when two planes collided on a runway in a foggy day. What struck me most about studying this mishap is the structured way in which the aviation industry uses to approach the problem. Today, this is called the Swiss cheese model. Aviation professionals like yourself understand that there are multiple root causes of accidents, and a combination of negligence, blind spots, and bad luck can all contribute and drive to each step that led to a mishap. By that same token, the airline industry has rightfully earned a reputation as the safest way to travel because they are very good at identifying these sources of errors and placing controls on them. The Pan Am KLM disaster of 1977 introduced a lot of standardized language and safety controls that we take for granted today. And all these concepts were born out of this rigorous analysis of multiple root cause. This line of thinking can also be applied to outside the world of aviation. It can be used to analyze and improve how companies interact with their customers, how their brand is perceived throughout the world. And that's where we're coming in. Excuse me. A lot of the lessons we've learned through mishap analysis are applicable to the aviation industry. My partners and I are aviation industry specialists who understand why aviation companies, Boeing in particular, excel. No industry is better at this error change, Swiss cheese analysis, and change management than you. And we want to provide you the tools to empower you to apply these same core competencies in opportunity areas such as marketing, customer relations, government compliance, communications, and of course, company culture. My associate Preet will go over how we can guide Boeing through its current challenges and emerge a stronger company. Preet.
Thank you, John. I'm going to start with the two extreme recent events that have led us to this meeting today. The Lion Air Flight 610 and the Ethiopian Airline Flight 302 crashes, in which a combined total of 346 passengers and crew members were lost. Both of those planes were the Boeing 737 MAX 8s. So as we're all aware, there are also some other accompanying issues that came up with these tragic events. The first being the negative press that was received as a result of the report that Boeing CEO, Mr. Muhlenberg, had requested President Trump not to ground the MAX 8, even though China and EU had already made the decision to do so. The second concern is a negative impact that these events had on the value of the company, which went down by $28 billion. Finally, there were some concerns brought up publicly by pilots claiming that they did not feel they were given enough training to deal with these types of situations. The combination of all these different issues and recent events open up the opportunity to engage with the ultimate end customers and guide them through some of these transitions and the turnaround, and repositioning the company's vision to focus on transparency with the public and rebuild trust. I'm going to hand it over to my partner, Charlie, who's going to talk a little bit more about how we can accomplish this.
So in a PR analysis that we've done so far on the response to this crisis, we've noticed that slow and passive certainly loses the race. Being slow means that you aren't prepared and lets others take control of the narrative. And what I'm going to say is going to sound unintuitive, but instead move to a platitude-free message with a flood of transparent messages and accountability. Cliches to avoid are safety is a core value because people have heard it ad nauseum and they'll tune it out. Plus, it lacks information. It's something people in and out of company walls want that demonstrated in action instead of just words. We also noticed in the analysis of the PR strategy so far is that we need to reframe the problem. The current frame is this is a technical problem that we can correct with pilot training. Instead, this misses the point and that hundreds of lives were lost. So instead, we need a frame that is much clearer with path of action and acknowledges a partnership with regulators who are charged to protect human lives. Let's use clearer language so that the public understands your thinking and try to avoid a fact sheet and figures. This is about emotion. No matter how damaging the findings are, let's release them. Don't wait for lawmakers. Taking charge by releasing information before agencies do not only supports your frame, but it shows your commitment, it's transparent, and it allows you to control the message. And last, let's highlight what makes you who you are. What makes Boeing Boeing? Is it the people, innovation, tirelessness? I'm not suggesting anything can, like commitment to safety. Instead, I'm suggesting tapping into what has made you such a company that's made it through economic turmoil, wars, and yes, crashes. So John's going to expand on this a little bit further.
Thank you, Charlie. And just to highlight what we mean, let's take a look at Boeing's purpose and mission statement. Boeing is to connect, protect, explore, and inspire the world through aerospace innovation. That's all applies and that nothing changes. What we're going to do is help enhance some of these mission points where we know we never stop doing everything in our power to protect those that rely on our products. We're also applying the same expertise to how we connect and explore new opportunities for excellence with employees, business partners, and most importantly, passengers. What does all this mean? In the big scheme of things, 500,000 passengers are in the sky at any moment, and almost all of whom rely on a Boeing product one way or the other. Boeing culture is a critical component to keep these people safe, and we are here to help you turn your culture into a strength instead of just another slice of Swiss cheese when the next mishap occurs. Thank you.